All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich Celenza. Thanks for checking out my channel. I know the lighting's not perfect in here, but I like this location once in a while. It's quiet. So the video today that I'm going to do, or the subject I should say, is basically make sure you're getting the right advice when it comes to working out. Because I think the one thing I learned over the years regarding working out my entire life was a lot of times people that were giving me advice that I thought was right was wrong. And this goes for, I've been around literally thousands of people that were involved with fitness. That goes for bodybuilders, powerlifters, athletes of all sorts. I also played a lot of sports when I was younger. A lot of different coaches, right? A lot of different trainers, things in that nature. And a lot of times, don't get me wrong, they knew what they were talking about. But a lot of times they did not. Because I'm going to go back even to when I was, in a lot of sports in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. As things moved forward, you start to realize what they thought was right wasn't right? And a lot of things that they thought may have been wrong are actually right. And that goes for workouts as well. If you know anything about me, I always try different type of workouts regarding many different things and experimenting and figuring out what's best for you, not getting caught up with what works for everyone else. Now, don't get me wrong, certain workouts do kind of cross over and, they do well for a majority of the people, but you have to also realize a lot of times they may not work for you. But I've been I'll just go back to the gym. I've been to hundreds of gyms all over North America. That's just my thing. I love visiting new gyms. I love meeting new people that work out. A lot of people talk to me about working out. And that's why I ended up doing a YouTube channel. Because it wasn't just about me talking about, I guess you could say let me move that over a little bit. Not just talking about different workouts. I was always looking at it from a premise of how to help people improve and how to prevent injuries and how to learn what works best for them, not getting caught up in just saying, you should do this, you should do that, you should weight lift, you should jog, you should try, this exercise, this. I'd love to give advice on certain things, but only advice I could give is what I knew. I never tried to lie or bullshit. I also tell people the advice I'm giving you is from my personal perspective. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. But being in this for so long, I think I had a lot of knowledge to offer. And I think it's an honest approach a lot of times on what I'm saying. But I think a lot of times when we meet different people, it could be trainers, coaches, and other people, a lot of times they want to either pitch you to join up with them, for instance, or do a boot camp, or hire them to, train them and all these things, which is great. But again, that may not be for you. And also, just because they may be licensed, they may not have the information or the advice you're looking for, right? And I think this really hit home with me when I was younger, being influenced by a lot of big guys, especially when I moved to Florida. I was doing summer schools in Florida at 15. And Chicago, I was always lifting weights, but when I came to Florida and I came to Orlando, and it was kind of like the hub there because we had a lot of guys that were going to Florida State, a lot of football, I should say, a lot of guys that even went to University of Florida, Miami. It was a huge in its heyday in the 80s. There was a lot of steroids. There were a lot of big dudes in Florida. And I started to be around these guys. And a lot of them were huge and strong, and a lot of things they told me were really, influential. It was great stuff. But then on the other hand, a lot of them too, I didn't know because I was too young, and then eventually you find out, a lot of them are on steroids. A lot of them are taking maybe even growth hormone or different type of supplements, giving them a lot of the results. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't work out hard, right? Especially, I think people a lot of times don't realize, even if you're on steroids or you're on different types of things, that's kind of a cop-out. That's kind of ridiculous. A lot of guys, believe me, work really hard at their bodies. And of course, some do take certain things. But what I also think it's not up to them, but I never learned from them what to kind of prepare myself for after I would do certain things. Now, I was fortunate never to do steroids, but I was obsessed with getting big. I loved eating and I loved lifting heavy weights, and I had an insecurity complex, so I wanted to get big. And I started off the smallest guy in the gym, and then as time went on, probably over a decade or maybe less, then I ended up becoming one of the biggest guys in the gym, and that was just by really hard work. But I took a lot of advice in, but I also was kind of paying attention to say, hey, a lot of the stuff they were telling me regarding lifting weights, I believed wasn't actually that educational. Because I was reading constantly Flex Magazine, Muscular Development, Muscle and Fitness, what was back? I was constantly watching videos on working out. I was kind of obsessed with it. So I would kind of incorporate some of what they were saying, and then I would read about other people and other things and different workouts and incorporate that as well. And before you know it, truthfully, I was more knowledgeable than almost everyone I was around. Not regarding steroids and things in that nature. But then again, I wasn't maybe not as huge as a lot of guys that were professional bodybuilders, even wrestlers, and that situation. But I also wasn't always injuring myself. And I also wasn't having, a lot of times these guys, you know, they had ups and downs. And they also had sometimes emotional things going up and down. I didn't deal with any of those things, which again, I'm not saying the steroids did that or whatever they were doing, but I was just kind of steady and even. And I always studied what worked best for me. And I can't describe that enough. You have to figure out what works best for you. Bring in a lot of advice. Talk to anyone you can about any aspect of fitness that you're interested in. That is wonderful, but realize not everything they're saying may be right, but also everything they're saying may not pertain to you, right? So that's really what I want to do this video on. Don't think just because somebody is a trainer, a coach, or any of these things that sometimes they are the, you know, the all, what do they say that? The know-it-all or whatever the hell. There's a lot of things I can assure you that they don't know. So anyways, I really want to do a video on this subject. Also, and I've been saying this more and more, learn to go on YouTube, start studying other people's workouts. Because I'm shocked myself. I'm 50 years old, and lately I've been doing all different types of workouts that I've never even seen before in the gym, especially with weights. So again, I am constantly learning. That's what you should look at if you're looking to work out or play any different sport. There are so many things coming into play as far as educational, so many different type of techniques regarding fitness, and just absorb it, because I promise you it's always going to be evolving and changing. So be open-minded. That's what I'm going to wrap this up with. A lot of people, regardless if you're a beginner or advanced, a lot of us kind of get the mindset. We know everything. We know how to do everything. We know what works, doesn't work. Everybody else is kind of full of shit. We've been through the years and years, decades of working out. All these type of things. I'm telling you, the more open-minded you are, the better off you're going to be. And your body is going to love that because you're constantly challenging. All right? I'll wrap it up there. If you get a chance, check out my podcast, The Rich Celenza Show. WTF are you talking about? I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you get a chance, subscribe. All right? Take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.